And so your body and mind will change over time. Hold space for that.
That being said, let's have a conversation about...
Especially the men. We not really grown until 35, 36, 37, 38. But but most of us, that varies. But throughout history, I've learned and let's be real, men. Mm-hmm. Women mature faster than men, as far as mentally.
And women sacrifice more as far as our bodies go. Our bodies change even men's bodies change over time. Mm-hmm. And yes, everyone should take care of your body. It is your first home. Take care of your vehicle. But also realize things become softer with time. Things become looser with time. Health changes over time. Your mind is going to change over time. The things that you want, sometimes great relationships end prematurely because a person is growing and changing, and we're not holding space for that. Sometimes also we follow our lust instead of staying committed to what we decided to commit to. Because I've heard a lot of women, and I've seen a lot of men. Reddit is full of them. Men who are frustrated because their wife has now had a baby, or partner has now had a baby, and her body's changed. Well, what did you think was going to happen, sir? Anyway, but that's just so important, because to give a man the opportunity to reproduce himself using your body as the vehicle, and then to have him say, now your body is not good enough. I don't like it, it's ugly. That's a horrible thing to say and do to a person who has given you the ultimate gift. And your mind will change. Same goes for a man who may come into a relationship saying, you know what, I'm good. I'm going to work my job. I'm going to stay at this job for 20 years. I'm going to retire here, ... And he realizes he wants to follow his dream. He creates a plan for himself, decides that he's going to go for it. And this man who has sacrificed his time that he cannot get back, to take care, to be there, to provide, to do those things, and now has a dream or a goal to take things even further for himself, and you being the beneficiary of it, to not allow or hold space for that change. We have to be willing to allow each other to grow in relationship. And that's something that is so often very difficult to do, because we become attached to the person that we begin with, and not that person's entire evolution.
Yeah. So
I hope that helps somebody. I hope that set the captives free somewhere in the world.
Yeah, that was big though. That was a very important tip. Mm-hmm. That's right up on the number one.
Right, these are not in order.
Yeah. You have to anticipate that. Like, you have to be prepared for that. And we go into relationships not even knowing that this is possible.
On the flip side of that, when we look good, we feel good. Mm-hmm. So even as your body changes, are you still taking care of yourself in such a way that makes you feel good from the inside? Yeah. So that you can be someone that people love. As your mind changes, man, because that's another conversation for another day. But often, what men don't take into account when you guys decide that you are going to shift from working for someone else or being an employee to working for yourself is that there is a literal paradigm shift that happens there mentally. And if you are not prepared for that, just like when a woman's body changes, if she's not ready for what that change looks like, she can become very mean, very angry, very all kinds of things, depressed. All of that can happen. The same can happen to a man who loses his sense of self-worth by leaving a job or losing a job or a source of income or whatever, by changing and pivoting in direction, because men are like direction focused. When that man changes direction, the same thing can happen when our beauty pivots, when our bodies pivot. So being mindful of that and holding space for what that looks like. We definitely, when he pivoted from working to full-time entrepreneurship, there was for sure a time, years, that I held space for all of that process. Gratefully, I had other things going, and that's why that tradition piece is important, because I had other things going on. I was building my own business. I was raising my children, homeschooling, all kinds of other things going on. So I had other things to focus my mind on rather than fully focusing on, well, what are you going to do? Well, what's going to happen? Well, what are you thinking? Well, what's wrong? No.
Yeah.
Let me know if you need me.
Yeah.
So yeah, holding space really means holding space. Holding space for the emotional changes that person is going to go through with those changes that happen is also important. So number 5 is discover each other's and your own love language, which y'all know, we know the 5 love languages, giving and receiving language, and apology language. So that's 3 languages. Everybody talks about love language, but who talks about how you say sorry? How you hear sorry? How you apologize to each other? And how you give and receive. I'm a gifter. My husband is a server. Totally different giving and receiving languages. So knowing how you feel fulfilled within a relationship, how you feel loved within a relationship, and also how you feel that reconciliation can happen when something has gone wrong.
Yeah, that now this is so, man, these are some meaty.
They are so
lessons.
meaty. We could have done a video on each one of these.
Because and I feel grateful to even be delivering them, because these are things that you have to know going into all this. Like
you don't have to, but
I mean,
it's good to know.
I mean,
we didn't know this coming into this.
I know. That's my point. So, and I say have to because it's like it's so much that goes on in a relationship, man. Like just like driving, you have to.
Yes.
It's not nice to or not good to. You have to have a test. You have to study it or get that license and all that before you be tearing stuff up. I was about to curse. Before you be tearing, welcome home, by the way. Before you be tearing stuff up on the street. And that one there, all of them, but that's another one, man. Just knowing how a person receives, knowing how. And for a long time, man, I had to discover within myself how and why I felt guilty about receiving gifts. You know, and just like you're a supreme gift giver. You're a supreme gift giver. And it's like, I was like, oh, like another one, you know, but that was my own stuff. And you know, going through all that and discovering, okay, how and why helps with whatever opposing love language you may have or whatever. Just find out the how and why that is. You know, why did I have difficulty receiving?
As you're saying this, I felt guilty receiving service from you. I never even thought about that until you said this just now.
So yeah, it's just like the you know, that's why it's wonderful to know going
Right.
and for people that's married like we are, that discover this within the marriage, it's cool. But for those of you who are just like who knew or don't even have nobody yet, just this the perfect lessons for you to go into it with. And if you meet somebody that don't understand, it's perfect to share and teach them as well. And that'll build upon the love that y'all have, because you're teaching something. Or you're showing. If they're receptive to it, then that's another gauge for you to know that, hey, this is my person. You know what I'm saying? But you have these tools or these tips where you can share and help them get on board. Even if y'all not meant to be together, that's something you've given that person for their relationship they're supposed to be in. But going back, yeah, man, just understanding the how and why as to what your makeups or markdowns to your love languages, man. And for me, receiving was one, and that goes back to childhood trauma or whatever, and maybe a few other things. But I was able to tap in and realize why, and I've gotten a lot better with it. And as well, understanding her, I have gotten better, but I plan on getting a whole lot better, because she's a supreme gift giver and she deserves to be a receiver of supreme gifts. So I'm working on that, I promise. And yeah. So but with that,
y'all heard it here.
Yep, I heard it. So y'all gotta hold me to the carpet. But I got accountability partners. But what this does is help me to get better at it and continue to strive to develop in it. So.
And now that I think about it, we talked about tradition. My guilt around receiving service, like he cooks, he will take care of the kids if I'm like busy working and things like that. My guilt around that was based on tradition, was based on the idea that, excuse our disrespectful ice maker, was based on the idea that a man is not supposed to do that. You as a woman are supposed to handle all of that. Why is he dealing with this? Why is he doing that?
Yeah, we
oh, Lord. I mean, guilt to the point of crying. You never saw me cry about it, but literally...
But we've had
hair falling out guilt.
Had a few moments.
Yeah, I mean, literally like stressing myself to the point of losing hair, to the point of not being able to eat, because of feeling like this makes you less of a woman, this makes you less of a wife, that he's doing these things for you, not realizing he was simply loving me in his love language.
Yeah. And just think about the frustration of that tradition while doing it.
Yeah, and then giving to me in your love language, and the frustration of me half receiving it. And even on my end, me giving to you in my love language and it not being really received. And like, I could see you like sulking around after you would receive a gift. Yeah. Like, I could see you feeling bad about receiving a gift that I had. Most people who gifting is your love language, you are extremely thoughtful.
Yeah.
So you don't give gifts at all. I don't give any gift that I have not thought through. To be that thoughtful, and even for him to like think about me and this is what I want to do for her, and both of us be like clashing in that way. So love languages is definitely something that we've bumped heads on a minute.
But not even that, but like the traditional roles of me like having to deal with, man, I'm not supposed to be doing this while doing it. That's what I'm saying. Like,
oh my goodness.
Like, man, I'm not supposed. But that's how strong my service language was. It's like, but at the same time still doing it. Like, but.
And that's another thing about tradition. Tradition, I'm not anti-tradition. However, it is very important to be mindful that the traditions you are keeping are in alignment with who you are authentically. Because the whole goal of traditions is to keep communities unified, is to keep us together. And we're moving into a time where if you can't be your real self, you're gonna walk away from it. Y'all know the great resignation is happening right now. We're not even staying committed to jobs anymore. We're not staying committed to anything that doesn't allow us to be our full selves and to truly reach for our highest potential. There's a reason for that. That's all God's plan. So know that some of these traditions do need to be torn down in some ways, and most of them just need to be improved upon by you being your authentic self. The traditions that we were taught, if we really dig down into them, the tradition of the man going to work, that's really based on service. That's based on being of service to your family. But now we've evolved to a place where you don't have to go to work to provide for your family. So you can still be of service. Sometimes we have to dissect these traditions and see what is inside of them, see what's at the core, so that we can build on the essence of the tradition.
Man.
And not necessarily just the action of the tradition.
Right. I did an interview with a brother. I know you're gonna remember when I mentioned his name. Shout out to Kariga Bailey. One of the best interviews I've ever done.
Hey, Kariga and Fifi!
He mentioned how his father, his love language was service. And when he would show, especially men in those days, older men, they didn't speak much. Or didn't show as much affection or was as emotional as most men are now. We've grown to become in touch with our emotions, but then it wasn't like that so much. But he would cook for you, and if he cooked for you, that's his way of showing his love. And when I heard that, I was like, yo, that's supreme right there, because I understand that. And even my dad, wasn't the best cook, but was good enough. But that's how he showed too. Yeah. And I know my father was my father very low on words as far as emotionally and uplifting and all that. But he would do that by cooking, And when we even read about certain men in the Bible, for feast days and stuff and all that, they cooked and did stuff like that. So
yeah. And that's why we say, know your own and the other and your partners, because we need food to live. I might not see feeding me as loving me as much as I see it as sustaining me.
Yeah, no doubt.
So it's so important, especially now. We have those examples, and we also know we are evolving beyond that. We are evolving to understand our emotions. We're evolving, men and women, to be able to communicate better, to be able to ask questions better. So being willing to do that, to find out, okay, how do I receive love? Because even for us, I had to realize, gifts is not how he receives love. That may be how I show love. But when I give a gift, he's not like, oh, she loves me. He's like, oh, thank you. So what is it that makes your partner say, oh, I'm loved? Service is not, when he does things for me, I'm not thinking, oh, he loves me. I'm thinking, we are a team. This is teamwork. This is what we do to sustain the team. But what is it that I feel is saying to me, oh, I'm loved? Oh, you love me. So know that about yourself and also about your partner. What is it that makes a person feel like, okay, we got into a big argument, we're working toward reconciliation. This was an apology. Because y'all know how we do. You get into an argument and nobody says sorry, but somebody says, I'm about to go to the store, you want something? Like, that's the apology. Or I'm about to go pick up some food, you want something? I'm about to order some Uber Eats, you want something? that may feel like an apology to the person who is asking, who maybe feels like, you know what, I'm gonna break the ice, I'm gonna be the bigger person here. But that other person may feel like, until you acknowledge the issue, we haven't apologized, we haven't reconciled. So it's so important, y'all, to dig into the essence of these traditions, to dig into the essence of your partner and yourself, to understand better. The scripture says, y'all know, our favorite book, in all your getting, everybody say love, God is love, and all these things. God said, in all of your getting, get understanding. Get understanding. I'm going to leave it at that because I don't want to hit y'all in the head with the Bible now. All right. Lesson number 6.
Honor each other's individual journeys. On the same path, still on mission together.
Yes.
But honoring each other's individual journeys. That's another one. So
Yes,
all of them good. All of them.
They are all good.
All of them for the meat that you pull right out the bone, tender. But that's a good one because, man,
people grow apart so often, and really they don't realize, like, you're on a journey. You
That's
grew apart, but
why-
you're coming back together. Y'all still going in the same direction.
yeah, and people just, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, to be totally transparent, to be totally truthful and honest right now, every time we're not seeing eye to eye, I'm like, is this it? Oh my God. I'm about to lose everything.
Oh my goodness.
But
oh my God.
like little meltdowns that nobody sees.
Nobody sees, because I did not know that was a thing.
Like, oh my God, this is it. How did I let this happen?
Oh my goodness.
But that's all that is.
Yeah.
And the more and more we grow, the more and more I'm confident that our love is strong, and that's simply what that is. And we have to be willing to become stronger and to evolve in order to, because if you're not evolving, I mean, you could be doing the same stuff over and over and over, and eventually it'll be this.
Yes.
The this is the continual trying and the continual working together and the continual, you know what I'm saying? So,
and having boundaries, because when you are on individual journeys, which everyone is, even though two becomes one flesh,
but yeah.
God's still walking y'all through y'all growth now.
But yeah.
Even when you're on two individual journeys, having boundaries, and I talk to my clients about this all the time. When we think about boundaries, we always think, here's my line, don't cross it. But when you're in a relationship, many times those boundaries are, here is the line, don't go past this. Like, when we get too far, we got to reel it back in.
Or take your shoes off
So
before
important.
you enter.
But right.
Shoes off before you enter.
And that's
Stuff
like a don't
that.
cross this way line.
Yeah.
But a don't cross this way line could be, if you're feeling like that, we have that conversation before you go have that conversation with your friends. Because those are the kinds of growth patterns that can have you growing this way.
Yeah.
Rather than saying, okay, sometimes we are like this, but we always come back, and we always come back. So you also want to have boundaries that keep you close. Because a lot of times our boundaries are things that keep people at a distance. In a relationship, you also want to know, what are those boundaries that keep us close? Because even though we're on our individual journey, it's like having guardrails on the side of the highway. You might be in this car over here, you might be in this car over here. So one person may be going faster, one person might be on cruise control, but they're headed in the same direction and nobody's going off the road because there are guardrails on the side to keep everyone within a certain space.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really, really important, because a lot of folks grow apart and they think that growing apart is the end of the story. But you can grow back together, especially if you are still on mission. if you both are still headed toward the same destination.
And all these lessons go hand in hand because that just goes back to the changing of minds, and you know every so often, what they say, like every 5 years or so something like that. Well, whatever the numbers are,
Apparently
so often,
every 10 years in marriage you marry another person.
Yeah, every so often things get tweaked a little differently.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And this not gonna go the way it went 5 years ago or 10 years ago. So that part is a relearning. So
Yes.
just relearning each time.